In what is quickly becoming one of the most anticipated events on the schedule, it's time to formally kick off qualifying for the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 75 of the Pro Late Models in the 2025 Z-Max Cars Tour season, presented by Sound Gear at the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Eric Brennan, alongside NASCAR Cup Series champion Kevin Harvick and NASCAR Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr. for an event that has been building and building in terms of anticipation. Gentlemen, what do we think we're going to see tonight?
Well, I'm excited to see these Pro Late Models out here to qualify first, and as we go into the night, put on a great race. I've been here all day, and as you watch practice, we've seen this groove widen out through the day. So I'm really excited about the width of the racetrack and the lanes that these guys are going to have choices to use.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a wide racetrack. I'm surprised at how much of the racetrack they do use down in turn 1 and 2 especially, but this racetrack and the surface of this racetrack is relatively new. I think this will be as fast as a lot of these drivers will go all fast laps tonight.
And not only do we get to set the field for tonight's Pro Late Model portion of our program, but we are also going to qualify the late model stock cars for the Window World 100 coming up tomorrow night on FloRacing and Fox Sports 1 as well. As for today's schedule, we'll kick things off with the pros for qualifying a little less than 15 minutes from now. Pre-race ceremony slated to start about 10 minutes towards the top of the hour at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will drop the green flag for the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 75 here on what has been a really warm day. These drivers, many of them had their hands full throughout practice.
Yeah, and as I remember back to racing on this new asphalt, when I was here, you went through practice. It was a really hot day in August, and then you came time to qualify, and you had all this shade on the front straightaway, and that car was totally different, way looser. Now, these guys with the Pro Late Models, as I listened to them today, they don't expect their cars to be as loose as what the late model stocks were. So kind of a guessing game as to what you need from a balance standpoint in the heat of the day, and we know we're going to race at night.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with Orange County, Kevin, and watched the pros versus the late models. And I was surprised at how much the pros moved around, slipped the back of those cars. And their tires are a little bit harder, at least on the right side, than the late model stock. But when the temperature goes up, they lose a lot of grip. And that's going to be a thing that I think the drivers are going to need to manage all night long. It's not going to be a tire wear race. It's really going to be the car that can be the fastest without really building a whole lot of temp on either the right front or the right rear of the car and the balance going away.
As far as the venue, of course, this track's synonymous with being part of the revival in 2022 with Tour-type modifieds and the Cars Tour as well. Opened back in 1946, but this doesn't necessarily tell the whole tale of the tape. This racetrack from above may look symmetrical on either side, but each end of the racetrack is very different.
Well, there's a little trick that Steve Swift from SMI taught me, and that is to look at the walls. And when you walk this racetrack and you look at the walls, you can't really see it from the booth, but when you're down on the racetrack, this track has a ton of elevation change. It has a really flat entry into turn 1, kind of ramps back up the racetrack, and you can see all those differences in the wall and the way that the shape goes up and down. So there's a lot of things that you can lean on this racetrack, a lot of different tricks. The banking's different, so a lot of options from the driver's standpoint.
Yeah, they did a really good job when they built the racetrack or repaved the racetrack. And to your point, Kevin, they made the track multi-groove. We've really never seen a new repave provide the wide groove and the multiple grooves that this track has provided, even at the Cup level. So it should be a lot of fun tonight. As this track has a little bit more age on it, you can see the shade of the racetrack itself has changed a little bit since the last time we were here. So I'm excited to see just how high up the racetrack they go chasing grip.
Well, we have a lot to look forward to with qualifying on the horizon for the pros. Let's welcome him, a familiar voice to the Cars Tour broadcast here on FloRacing, but maybe in a more unique position tonight. Blake McCandless, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, great to be joining you guys from a little bit of a different setting, but the one word that I have heard continually over the course of this day, multiple drivers use the word commitment when it comes to North Wilkesboro Speedway, whether it's the Pro Late Models or the Late Model Stocks. There's a fair amount of drivers that don't have any experience here. They have a little bit of experience when it comes to perhaps the old pavement here. We have a certain amount of drivers that have definitely been on this new pavement before, but there is not one word I heard more from these drivers than commitment. You can't fake it. Riley Gentry was one I talked to in particular earlier today. He said, I've never been anywhere like this. You guys mentioned it at the top of the show. The speed that these drivers carry is something that's totally unique, totally different. And for many of these drivers that maybe came from the Palmetto State of South Carolina with these old worn-out racetracks, going to be something a little bit different tonight for all of these drivers to try to get around North Wilkesboro Speedway, James.
Thanks, Blake. Great job down there. And commitment. Many people think, especially considering with Cup cars, North Wilkesboro, short track. But for these guys, this place might as well be a super speedway.
It might as well be a super speedway because this 5/8 mile racetrack has a lot of speed. And like I talked earlier, it's also very unique. So you talk to the drivers about having those options on the racetrack. And when we hear the talk about the commitment, not a lot of horsepower. You talk about the Cup cars, they have a lot more horsepower. These cars, especially the Pro late models, don't have a lot of horsepower. So when you go back to the throttle, it's a lot of commitment, just a little bit of a brush of the brake, and even a little bit of partial throttle to get that thing up the hill, get the back set, and then get that thing up off the corner with the throttle down pretty quick.
Well, let's check in with another member of our broadcast team, our traditional pit reporter on the Cars Tour side. Let's welcome James Pike.
Thank you, Eric. It's been a busy day here down in the pits at North Wilkesboro. Two big themes, very sort of different corners of this weekend that have come out and talking to the drivers amongst everybody in the garage. The first, a lot of drivers just searching for lines here. There are a lot of different ways you could approach, especially 1 and 2 here at Wilkesboro. So a lot of drivers that I spoke to in practice said that they attempted 3 or 4 different entries and exits, just trying to figure out what the optimum line was for their car, where they needed to be, what would work best. But the other thing that came out a lot and talking to the drivers is just the prestige at this event, not only for the late models, they have the big show on national TV in Florida tomorrow, but even the pro late models. A lot of the pro late model drivers made the point that even though they might not necessarily get that big of a spotlight, that just to move to Thursday and being that closer to Cup weekend raises the profile of this event for their entire series, raises the stakes, and makes them want to go after it a little bit more. One driver said, it feels just that little bit more special that we're that close to a weekend that's so big, not only for the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, but the entire sport. So a lot of people excited and ready to go. I heard one driver also compare this and make this the biggest race here at Wilkesboro for late models or pro late models since the racetrack revival in 2022. I think that really does set a good marker in the ground as to how much these drivers value racing on All-Star Weekend.
Thanks, Mike. A good look into the emphasis all drivers and teams are putting into this race and this weekend. As we see, one of our winners, Jade Avedissian, along with 28 other pro late model competitors on the ready to chase the Male pole in what may be one of the most pivotal qualifying sessions of the season. We'll be back on the other side of the break to set the field for the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 75 right after this.
Every crack, every tire mark, every layer of paint, at every short track in America, they tell a story. But this one's a little different. Hickory Motor Speedway, the birthplace of NASCAR stars, and that's not just a slogan, because from Earnhardt to Jarrett's, Setzer's, and Houston's, generations of racing royalty have carved their way around this historic oval. In the modern stock car racing scene, now new names are trying to build foundations right there. On the ZMAX Cars Tour, veterans and rising stars aim to capture checkered flags and build legacies. But for some, they're just getting started. And there's no better place to do it than at this throwback track for the throwback race. It's a track that teaches you that not everything needs to be polished and perfect. If you conquer the cracks and the imperfections, you can achieve greatness. And while it's important to celebrate racing heritage, we also look to the future of pavement racing. We will
Back at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, getting set to roll off the Pro Late models for qualifying for the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 75 in what is the 5th race of 13 for the pros in 2025. The late model stocks following and what is a really pivotal qualifying session statistically for the pros as well. We've had 3 prior pro late model races here with the Cars Tour, and we've never seen an eventual winner start anywhere from other than the front row. So this is certainly going to be one of the most important tests and moments for our pro late model drivers here coming up in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think it'll be, the fastest cars obviously are going to be toward the front of the field after this qualifying session. And the speed that these pros corner with, it just makes trying to get around that lead car that much more difficult. We're hoping that we're going to get a wide racetrack tonight, able to give that 2nd or 3rd place car that has that much more speed a way to find their way around the leader. But once you get that clean air in these cars, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, and I think as you look at the racetrack, and as I went back and watched the race from last year, it was definitely lower than what a lot of the guys were practicing. But as that temperature cools off, I think you're going to be able to just go up in 1 and 2 and just barely kiss that top banking, because that banking in the top groove is actually about 14 degrees, and that middle groove is less, and the bottom, nobody even really goes there in 1 and 2. So I think as you get those cooler temperatures and you don't have as much air build up in those tires and much heat build up in the tires, you're really going to see the possibility of those guys move down a little bit. But let's hope that they just go up there and have to go all the way up in that top groove, because this racetrack continues to age and get a little bit wider. And
one other thing to consider, we did have a couple of cars with mechanical problems in practice, and the track crew did a great job, as they always do, to try to clean up the surface. But that differentiation in color there in that bottom lane, that may make these first few cars a little bit nervous.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Dale.
It is a little nasty, especially on the entry to one. And so if you're trying to get underneath somebody, you're going to have a little bit less grip on the left side tires trying to drive off in the corner and not have quite as much side bite as you're probably looking for. So that'll be something for these drivers to deal with up until that gets cleaned up in the racetrack. But in turns 1 and 2, we see the teams chase the groove all the way to the wall. So this track's going to get really wide down in 1 and 2.
Got a couple of drivers pulling more than just double duty here, maybe 3 up to 4 races, potentially. One of them, the defending Snowball Derby champion, Caden Honeycutt, is standing by with Blake.
Yeah, guys, standing down here with Caden Honeycutt. Again, I know you're awfully busy this weekend. You got a pro late model, you got a late model stock, and, of course, you'll be driving in the Craftsman Truck Series a little bit later on this weekend. So what can you try and learn, especially with all the track time you're getting today, to help you throughout your weekend?
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate every owner that I'm running for this weekend. Really wouldn't happen without him. So just track time, man. I love coming here. It's been one of the best racetracks we've had on the schedule. So really awesome that this place is continuing to thrive and we're getting more eyes on us, man. So just hope everyone has a good race today for the Pro Late Model race and a good race tomorrow. So and everything's huge. So we'll see what happens. We had a good qualifying run in the last practice, so we'll just see where it stacks up.
Defending Pro Late Model champion has 2 chances to ride the elevator tonight.
Thanks, Blake. And we're set to kick off Male Pole Award qualifying. You talk about drivers who are versatile in terms of what they wheel. The traditional day job for Camden Murphy, who was the first car on track in the Wilson Motorsports number 20. He drives the Classroom Crusher for Monster Jam and monster trucks all across the East Coast, trying to make his first career Cars Tour Pro Late Model start with a powerhouse of a team.
Absolutely, a great race team to drive for. A little bit of movement down there in the middle of turn 3 and 4 might affect the lap time.
Yeah, his first lap was 18.484, and second lap a little bit slower. So I think that's going to be probably the common trend. I think this track is a little bit bigger than some of the other tracks, and I think that with the tires getting a little warmer and the engine getting a little hotter.
Next car on the racetrack, at his 2nd consecutive start with the pros on the Cars Tour side. Wow, dusted off the wall off turn 2. Jason Kitzmiller in the ALL Construction Incorporated Rackley War, number 97.
Yeah, we have a nickname for Jason. His name is the Thriller, and you saw it right there off of turn 2. The Thriller was up in the dust, definitely committed to the throttle.
A little bit better that time off of turn 2 down the back straightaway, trying to get to the checker flag here clean. Maybe improve on that first lap. It was 18.411.
Second time around for Kitzmiller will be a tick faster, 18.222, the lap of record for Jason Kitzmiller. Let's toss it down the pike.
I've got our defending pole sitter here in our most recent Pro Late Model race in October with TJ DeCare that took the top spot in qualifying. So TJ, now that you had the experience of getting the pole, does that change your approach to qualifying this evening?
Definitely a little bit. Last year we had a dead lap, and this year we don't. So I think the strategy is going to change for everybody, and going out late, I think that's going to help me. But we'll see. I think we have a good piece for tonight, and I think we have a shot at getting the pole.
Been quick in just about every time he's taken to the track, especially in the last handful of races at the ZMAX Car Store.
New pace setter by more than 1/10 of a half, Brandon Lopez in his Atlanta Paving and Concrete and Sundance Equipment Sales number 6 out of Georgia, trying to go faster yet on lap 2. And he'll do so down in the 17-second bracket, 17.992 for Brandon Lopez.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to see as we watch this qualifying session move on. It's much like we see on Sundays. The track's going to get better. Guys are going to understand what the pace is and continue to get faster.
Hudson Boulder on the racetrack right now. Team from Fort Valley, Georgia.
Hudson races a lot at Cordele down in Georgia, where we went a little bit earlier this year.
Picked up a 6th place finish in what was his other start in 2025. Now trying to make his 2nd start here in this season with the Tour, and 3rd with the Cars Tour at North Wilkesboro. His first lap was 2nd, needs about 600ths to jump up to the provisional pole. Will get a little bit more time, but not enough. But he remains on the front row for the moment for Hudson Bolger. Next car on the racetrack, frequent competitor with the Tour on the Pro Late Model side. In fact, picked up support from Toad Frog Electrical just a few days ago to allow them the funds to make this race and make this venture. Driving his own family-owned operation, Joshua Horniman out of Claremont, North Carolina.
Yeah, and I've heard so many of those stories as we've gone through the garage today, just about how much impact this race has had on sponsorship and being able to get the exposure and things that they need.
Horniman's making his return to the Cars Tour in the Pro Late Model Series after being involved in a hard crash at the opener at New River. It took the team a while to rebuild the race car and get it ready. And he's out here at a racetrack that he loves competing at, and he will time in 3rd of the 5 cars that have been on track so far.
Tristan McKee coming to the line here to start his qualifying effort. Tristan is a driver that's been in the Chevrolet pipeline. A lot of momentum behind this young man. He races in the Pro and the Late Model Stock division here in the Cars Tour.
Yeah, we got to see him win here on his 14th birthday here last year. That was pretty cool to see that night and then jump in the Late Model Stock.
Tristan remains the youngest Cars Tour winner on record, age 12 at Dillon Motor Speedway in 2023, already displaying his talents not only across his tenure in the Tour, but in this qualifying session. Jumps up to P1 on lap 1, trying to go faster on his 2nd go around, and he will do so. 17.852, the bar that has been set by McKee, almost 1/10 and a half clear of the field.
Yeah, I see a lot of these guys, without having that warm-up lap, coming out of the pits and warming their tires. And with these cars, you really want to get that momentum up. And I think leaving pit road hard and getting that speed into turn 3 is really important to maximize that first lap.
Next on the race, Roman there in 3 and 4, and unfortunately that was on his first time lap. That may hurt him all the way through this final one. This is Kevin Cremonesi out of Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Man, that makes you so nervous when you make a mistake on that first lap. You know you don't have any more mulligans. You have to make a perfect run here on lap 2, which is more than likely not the best lap of the 2 to be able to get everything you can out of the tires. Crossing the finish line here. Going to move him up to 4th place with an 18.15. Not too bad of a recovery there.
No, especially when you have that moment in the middle of 3 and 4. It just kills the exit of a turn 4 and definitely probably hurt the overall speed of that lap.
As we welcome Vito the Torpedo Cancilla from Martinez, California to the racetrack. Let's toss it down the pike.
Spencer Davis found all kinds of success in a Pro Late Model last year in the ZMAX Car Store. Now racing with Ben Kennedy for this weekend. This is a one-off, so is it a bit more freeing, I guess, just to be able to go after the checkered flag tonight?
Man, we approach the weekend like we do every other weekend, even the same as last year. You know, we're here to put this 96 Surf USA Mobile Chevrolet Ben Kennedy racing machine up here on the front row. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, no different expectations than coming here last year with our family car. Just have fun, try to win.
End game is the same. Land on the elevator at the end of the night up to victory lane.
Cancilla clocks in 4th fastest on his go-around. Now we welcome one of the Mahle Pole Award winners already in 2025 in the Hunt Brothers Pizza number 62. Brackley Wars, Keelan Harvick.
Yeah, he missed the bottom right there. Definitely you know where that conversation is going to go. So, no, not the best thing in the world to have Dad sitting up in the booth.
Yeah, he goes to the top of the board, though, with a 17.74. Great lap for Keelan.
I asked him earlier, I said, how's this going? Where do you need to be on the racetrack? He's like, honestly, Dad, I have no idea. I just go where the momentum takes me, and it seems to be working okay.
Second lap, just not quite fast enough to improve. Right on top of the first lap with a 74.5 in lap 2. Keelan's done a good job this year. Been a lot of fun watching him get in these cars and really kind of develop his racecraft.
Well, it's fun to watch all these kids to be able to get on these types of racetracks and be able to get this experience with a lot of other guys that have experience. And that's how you learn how to race, is just get in the mix and start mixing it up with the guys who have the experience.
Same can be said for this driver in his sophomore season with the cars toward a Pro Late model, who is 6th quickest on his first go-around. Welcome Dylan Garner, 2nd in championship points coming into this race. Only 5 markers out of the championship points lead. And on a rebound effort of his own after a mechanical problem at Ace last time out, looking to make his 3rd start with the pros at North Wilkesboro. Lap 2 will bump him up to 4th. Next on the racetrack, a driver who attempted to make this race back in 2023, missed the mark just a little bit, now attempting to make his Cars Tour Pro Late Model debut tonight, driving for a race team that's been in operation for 67 years. Marhefka Motorsports and Brandon Marhefka on the track.
All the way from Peoria, Arizona. Got a few drivers from the West Coast in the field tonight. Taking the white flag. Struggling to make speed with this car. 11th out of the 11 cars that have gone at a 1930.
Marhefka, 3rd generation racer, carrying the banner for his family. He's going to come to the line, see if he can improve on that lap. And this time around, Marhefka, who was 11th out of the cars that have been on the racetrack so far, will not improve any positions on that go-around. One of the most interesting stories involves the team going for 3 wins in a row with the pros. Let's go down to Blake for more.
I was about to say, it's not been so easy for Luke Baldwin here. You mentioned this team, back-to-back wins, but yet you guys have had an awfully long day. How have you guys managed to get this car on the grid to qualify?
Yeah, first and foremost, I just got to thank Spencer Davis and that whole group. You know, they went to got us a motor, and we were able to get it in time for qualifying. So yeah, all my guys thrashed super hard all day. Got the motor out in like 30 minutes, and then the new one in like 40 minutes. So yeah, it's really cool to have this, you know, triple race weekend. I've never had a weekend like this, so it almost looked like it was going to be a double, but you know, thankful to be able to throw a motor in here and give it a go.
Well, it was in doubt whether they were going to be able to get back on track, but Luke Baldwin will qualify his number 51 tonight.
Thanks, Blake. Ben Mayer jumped up to the outside of the front row for a team that's trying to win this race for the 2nd year in a row as we welcome one of the Walker Motorsports entry, Rodney Dowless, to the Speedway, who clocks in 8th quickest his first go-around.
Yeah, I've seen Rodney race a few times in the legend cars, you know, around this area, so it's fun to see these kids be able to take that legend car step, get into these pro late models, and that's what we like to see, that natural progression of these guys being able to move up the ranks and into our tour.
Dallas picked up a couple contingency awards at Ace Speedway, the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award and the Texaco Cutstone Hard Charger Award by his ability to his way through the pack. Looks like he may be starting up in the top 10 for now. He sits 6th. Next up.
Now on the racetrack here, Brody Monahan, number 7 from Waterford, Connecticut. Getting ready to come here and take the white flag for his first lap.
Yeah, and you really see the difference in the 2 ends of the racetracks right there. One up the racetrack there in turns 1 and 2, and down right on the bottom through 3 and 4, carrying a ton of speed through both of these corners.
Going to want to pick up a little bit of speed there, clocking in 12th out of 14 cars on that first lap. Bumps it up there just a few positions into the 9th position there with a 18-14. So a little bit of an improvement. And that to me shows you somebody who's not got a lot of laps on this racetrack, still learning, limited amount of practice today, a couple 40-minute sessions. You know, you don't get many times to go out there, Kevin, in this series and make mock runs on new tires, and they do feel a little bit different than your race sets. You'll come here with some, you know, used race tires, get out there, make a lot of laps in practice, maybe get a chance to do one mock run. A lot of times you got a full racetrack when you do that. Somebody's out there, gets in your way, you just really, you know, it's like those drivers we're talking about with Blake and them boys down on pit road, the commitment that you have to make to go out there and trust the car, to grip the corner when you drive it down into turn one. It's pretty heavy here in the Pro Series.
Yeah, as we see Connor Jones take off right there, you know, it's really interesting with the 2 40-minute practices that we have today. Really, if you want to do a qualifying run, it eats one whole session up pretty much. You might get, you know, 10 or 12 laps, but usually that qualifying run takes a while to get the car cooled off and then have another set of tires to do that race run. So definitely a different style of practice for these guys.
Talk about drivers who are quite busy this weekend. Connor Jones is one of them. He's got 4 races on his plate so far on the North Wilkesboro weekend. He's jumped up to 3rd on his first go-around. He's going to run this race with the pros, late model stocks. He's going to jump in a truck for Nice Motorsports and run the NASCAR Winter Model race here on Sunday as he's vying for a Mile 8 pole.
Connor's been fun to watch over the last several weeks, and his driver's balance between being aggressive and smart. He's got fast race cars. He's got the talent and the speed behind the wheel, and he's starting to finally put the results together in this pro car and the late model stock.
And he'll stand on the gas. He is definitely not afraid to be exciting and put that car in places that it might not belong. But like you say, he's got a much better balance over things as we see Josh Berry here taking his first qualifying lap.
2017 Cars Tour late model stock champion. And he's raced his way into what would be his second all-star race appearance on Sunday night as he clocks in 4th fastest his first go-around. But what an unbelievable testament for not only the talents of what it takes to come through the Cars Tour Series and where it may take you one day. But Josh is pushing all that aside. All he's focused on right now is this pro late model and seeing if he can go to P1.
Just short of P1 at a 1777, puts him in 3rd place. It's always awesome to see these drivers come down from the Cup level, the Xfinity level, the truck level. We have many here this weekend that have come to race with us. Josh usually in the late model stocks, but driving the pro this weekend. Toro Rodriguez on the racetrack right now. Watching him in practice, man, he was having his hands full with this race car, but found a ton of speed over the 2 practices we ran today.
And that's what you hope, and that's what you really want to see these guys do as they get themselves used to the racetrack, used to new competitors. We see a lot of these competitors coming together to race against each other for the first time.
Former North American and Central American Formula 4 racer. That's an open wheel division back in 2022 and 23. Now trying his hand to make his first ever Cars Tour Pro Late Model event. He will time in 15th fastest out of the 17 that have been on the track so far. Next up on the racetrack, out of Lakeland, Florida, one of the late additions to the Pro Late Model field, and the All-Star Mobile Services and Speedway Auto Sales #1 multi-time winner at his home track in Auburndale Speedway, including in a Super Late Model this season, Cody Brinson on the racetrack.
See Cody clock in 17th quick right there on his first lap, looking for a little more speed. Auburndale, much smaller racetrack than what he's used to here. Probably, you know, they might call it a 3/8, but it's definitely not anything like this.
Yeah, he'll get better as the race goes on. You can tell he's underdriving the race car quite a bit right there, and I think as he gets more laps, gets out there with some other rabbits to chase, he'll start to find the speed as the race goes on.
Next up, our season opening winner at New River All-American Speedway, making her return and 3rd start of 2025 with the pros out of Clovis, California. For the Wilson Motorsports Mobile One Toyota, Jade Abedissian in the tour, and this car looked pretty stout throughout the couple of practice sessions that were held earlier for a driver who's transitioned to pavement racing not that long ago. Jade's figuring this out pretty quickly as she lays down her first timed lap. And that first lap is going to put Abedissian 15th.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching Jade come up through the ranks. I think she has a bright future in front of her. I think this is just one small stop along the way for her as she progresses in her career.
Ends up 11th on the board. She'll be a little disappointed with that. We've seen her come out here and run in the top 2, top 3, win races. I agree with you. She's one of the bright talents that we have here in the Cars Tour. But she's got a little work to do tonight.
Second car being fielded tonight for the Connor Jones Racing team on the pro side is number 45 of Logan Jones out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Cars Tour Pro Late Model winner at Wake County in 2023. Hoping for an opportunity to turn all the laps tonight as he times in 15th quickest his first go around.
I always enjoy when we park next to the Jones bunch and they're probably some of the most laid-back, entertaining people that you can be around in the garage area. So a great group to have involved in the tour.
Second time around for Logan Jones, going to be a little bit faster on the stopwatch, but not going to improve on the pylon. He remains 15th for now. The driver who won the most recent pole award at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the pros last October settled for second right on the bumper of the eventual winner and champion Caden Honeycutt, TJ DeCare, in the second Walker Motorsports entry. Times his way into 6th.
Yeah, we've seen TJ run good at pretty much every racetrack that he's been at, and it's been fun to watch the progression and the speed that has been consistently had out of this car. So
TJ making his 20th career Cars Tour Pro Late Model start here tonight, and he will do so currently from the outside of row number 3. P6 is where DeCare continues to land as we welcome in Nick Neri out of Palmetto, Florida. He, too, a winner at Auburndale Speedway in the past. Now trying to see what this unique-looking design could do here at North Wilkesboro.
Ooh, got a big slide right there into turn 3. That's definitely not something that is abnormal with the big arc and everything that you carry into that corner with all the speed in these pros.
He is sideways.
Loose again.
Yeah. Got his hands full right there. Just not afraid to match the pedal, but just not a good balance in that car. He's fought this car all day long in practice. The car has the speed of things hook it up.
And Neri will clock in 18th so far, the 22 cars that have been out on the racetrack. The driver who got himself a podium finish, the World Series of Asphalt, in a super truck. Now we welcome Mad Max, Max Reeves, in the Cookout number 18. This is his 8th career Cars Tour Pro Late Model start, but first, 2025.
Yeah, I've been also able to watch Max and his progression with everything that he's done through the legend cars and late models and late model stocks as Max slots in P9 on his first lap.
Car looks really good. Good straight line. Turn 4 coming into the white. See what he can do on this final lap. A little bit wider. Coming up off of turn 4 there to cross the finish line. Not able to improve on that lap. Will slot in at 9th. Run a 0.04 and a 0.08. 2 laps.
Last time the Cars Tour Pro Late Models were here, this driver and this team were celebrating a championship after he held off TJ DeCare in the waning laps, seemingly not too worried about protecting the points, was more focused on taking that elevator ride to victory lane. Now back to the championship winning team and back to the top of the charts for Caden Honeycutt and the Bryson Lopez number 47, 17.6. First time we've seen a car dip that low on the stopwatch, and he's looking for more.
Well, he's up on top of the board, and recent Snowball Derby winner, Cars Tour Pro champion, has just represented everything that we have done well and shows the competitiveness of this series, and took it to the Snowball Derby and brought that trophy home this year.
It's fun to watch him progress. Everything he's ever drove in the Cars Tour, late model stock or pro, he's in front of the field. Now in the Truck Series full-time with these motorsports, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what this kid's career develops into.
Now, while Caden and company celebrated the Drivers' Championship, this driver and his family-owned team wrapped up the owner's title. A warm welcome back to Spencer Davis. Tonight driving for Spencer Davis Motorsports as well, paired up with Ben Kennedy, and he's into the top 5 on lap 1.
A lot of good cars to go at the end of this field. We could see any one of these 3 or 4 cars left at the end grab this pole tonight.
Second time around for Davis, he'll pick up 1 spot. He'll move up to 4th. As we only got a handful of cars left to go, ironically both out of the Rackley War stable. Here's a driver trying to log some laps in preparation for the Craftsman Truck Series race coming up here on Saturday. Made 7 starts in 2023, now in the Rackley Roofing and War Shocks number 26 out of Lebanon, Tennessee, Dawson Sutton.
Yeah, it's been fun to spend some time with Dawson, obviously racing on the same team in the same cars, and to see his progression over the Truck Series starts that he's made this year has been a lot of fun, as Dawson is second quick on his first lap.
Needs about 0.08 of a second to overtake Caden Honeycutt for the Male Pole Award with just 1 car left to go. Oh, he's going to get close. 23 thousandths of a second, the mark between Honeycutt and Sutton. That is the provisional front row as Dawson's teammate, Isaac Kitzmiller, rolls out on the racetrack in the ALL Construction number 25, and he will be our final car to contest Honeycutt for the pole.
That was an awesome job by Dawson Sutton to be able to get a little bit more speed out of lap 2. Let's see what Isaac can do as he comes to the white flag. This is an incredibly stout field of cars. Isaac struggling right now at 16th position with an 18.11. He's going to have to really push to gain.
And I stand corrected. Luke Baldwin's going to be the last car to go out. So Kitzmiller, the penultimate racer, to hit the racetrack for this Mahle Pole Award session. Checkered flag is going to fly for Kitzmiller, looking for a pretty considerable pickup that second time around. He will get into the top 10 ninth as we welcome Luke Baldwin to the Speedway. We heard from him a short while ago. What a job by the Rick Ware Racing team to thrash to get a new motor placed in this vehicle to give them a chance to maybe vie for 3 in a row as an organization. Luke trying to put it on pole.
Yeah, and I really like this kid. I think he has just the grit and determination to do anything he wants to do. As you see Luke go third quick on his first lap.
Oh, he's up the track into the fence and the outside wall. Oh, man, there's a lot of dirt over there from that Speedy Dry that was on the bottom of the racetrack earlier today, got moved across the racetrack. He just chased the car a little bit too high, jumped the cushion a little bit. There is a bit of a, the track's pretty clean all the way up to the wall in turns 1 and 2, but that outside edge, maybe about 3 or 4 foot there, is pretty dirty. Got the right front tire in it, and you could see there's really nothing he could do from that point.
Yeah, and you see that right front tire right there. It looks like that thing is tore up pretty good. These cars are pretty fragile,
yes,
but the right front suspension on that car is definitely hurt.
And unfortunately, the turnaround for this team is about 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's the only amount of time that they're going to have to try to get this car race ready after, as you said, Kevin, clocking in third fastest on that first lap. Needed 900ths of a second to get up to where Honeycutt is going to be the Mahle Pole Award winner, with Dawson Sutton joining him on the front row. But this team is going to have to go back to work if they want a shot to see if Luke could get this car out there in time for the race.
Yeah, and you'll see right here on this replay exactly what Dale is talking about. Once you get into that gray, you see all the dirt and dust and debris, and that is the fine line that you take running that top groove right there. If you misstep it by 6-8 inches, you're going to get that thing to where the right front tire just never wants to turn.
But you want to get as high as you can, because the higher you run, the faster the car will go, and the more speed you can carry. But if you just push it that little bit too far, and that's what he did. And so they're going to hope that there's not too much damage to the right front of that car, the suspension, so they can get this thing repaired. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them deals. You think he can, you get on the radio and say, hey, that's good enough, But he's a young man. He's pushing as hard as he can. And he's making a statement in this series. He runs the modifieds all the time, and we love when he comes over here and runs these stock cars with us and beats and bangs with these fenders. And so hopefully he'll get that thing turned around tonight and be able to get in there and mix it up.
And we don't want to see him take any of that out of any of these guys. We want them, as a young driver, you want them to go out there and make those mistakes. And it's unfortunate for the circumstances that he has right now, but he will remember that. And every one of those mistakes is a building block as you move forward.
Well, with that incident for our final car on the racetrack, that will conclude Mahle Pole Award qualifying. Caden Honeycutt, our most recent winner at North Wilkesboro in the Pro Late Models, on the pole with a lap of record of a 17.646, 23 thousandths of a second ahead of Dawson Sutton in the Rackley War Racing number 26. Luke Baldwin was third on that first lap. Keelan Harvick fourth. Connor Jones, your top 5, as we had 28 cars come out and lay down a lap.
This is going to be a 75-lap insane sprint. We have so many heavy hitters in this field. Josh Berry in 7th, Spencer Davis, Ben Mayer, Tristan McKee in 9th. So many fast race cars in the back of this field with not a lot of time to get to the front.
Well, let's hear from our pole winner. Caden Honeycutt is standing by.
A familiar place in some sense for Caden Honeycutt, back with Bryson Lopez Racing, back at the front of the field, but this time you're starting at the front. So racing with BLR, coming back here and running the Cars Tour, is it truly like riding a bike, or is it a little bit different compared to last October?
Well, we didn't get to bring back the same car we raced last year, but thanks to Fury and Darius everywhere at Fury Race Cars for the great car. Man, my BLR guys did an amazing job, man. We have I don't know what in the world Dustin has found here, but it's unbelievable. But yeah, we started second here, and the last time we were able to win. So I'm very, very confident in what we got. I feel like practice was a very good replication of our race trim from last year. So if we can stay on top of it for 75 laps and try to execute, and there's no stage breaks, so we'll probably be saving fuel at the start, and we'll go and see what we can do and try to ride that elevator again. With all of our amazing partners, Atlanta Paving Concrete, Chevrolet, Cadillac Ranch, Fury Race Cars, like I said, just a lot of people make this happen, man. Thanks to Ernie and everyone to let me do it.
The Aledo, Texas native is a very, very formidable foe behind the wheel when he's got that kind of confidence, but he'll start up front. Caden Honeycutt wins the Mallet Pistons Polo Board for the Pro Late Models at North Wilkesboro.
Thanks, Pike. And that shot in the arm and that confidence, that can go a long way for him, not just for tonight, but for the rest of the weekend.
Absolutely, and that's why you do this. You want to have that confidence, and you know how it was when you ran an Xfinity race or a late model race or whatever it was. If you can get that weekend kicked off, it just seems like that momentum will snowball into the start of the next practice and the next race, and it just keeps going throughout the weekend.
Yeah, that's a great point. But these other kids and these other drivers that are behind him, behind Honeycutt, are looking to outpace him tonight and prove that maybe they belong in his seat in that truck level. Some of these drivers are looking for that next opportunity. If you can go out there and beat a Josh Berry, beat a Caden Honeycutt that has that full-time ride at that next level, that proves a point.
Especially in front of everyone who is here this weekend. Next up, we're going to set the field for the Window World 100. You're watching continued coverage from North Wilkesboro Speedway, live on FloRacing. Back after this.
from Georgia, Dr. Strauss, drives not only real race cars, as you see here, but he's also one of the world's top iRacing.
Mahle Pole Award qualifying from North Wilkesboro is in the books for the pros. Caden Honeycutt laid down the quick time and will lead us down for the start for the Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 75, kicking off a little more than an hour from now. Qualifying for the Window World 100 with the late model stock cars on the horizon. Let's hear from some of the competitors before they strap into their race cars. We'll jump down to Blake McCandless.
Yeah, Eric, I'm standing by here with Cade Brown, a model of consistency in 2025, not a finish worse than 8th so far this season. Cade, you guys arguably had one of the fastest cars at ACE. You've had a fast car pretty much every single week. How do you look to continue that tonight in North Wilkesboro?
Oh, for sure. RNS Race Cars has brought me an amazing race car each week, and so, like you said, consistent. So we're hoping to follow through with that, and I think we made some really good changes today. So going into qualifying, hopefully we can get us a spot here in top 5 or 10 and play out tomorrow's race like we plan to.
I know, again, North Wilkesboro is so special for anybody. How special would it be for you tonight to not only get that first Cars Tour win, but to be able to ride the elevator?
Oh no, it'd be more than special because I mean, look at the eyes that are going to be on it. We'll be on FS1, so I think everybody is really wanting to win this one, and so hopefully this can be the one.
Cade Brown, 5 points back of the championship lead right now. He could take it with a good run tonight.
Thanks, Blake. And I look at the career trajectory of Cade Brown, and we talk about the caliber of the field. That's a young man who won a track championship at Florence, then at Hickory, and then said, all right, I want to test myself against the best. And he came to the Cars Tour to do that. This is his second year, first year with that RNS race car team.
Well, that's really what we want to hear. We want to hear those guys come into the Cars Tour, and when you look at these late model stocks, most of the weeks the field's only separated by a couple tenths. And when you have the competition and the way that these guys race in these late model stock cars, it makes you a better race car driver. And if you can win in this late model stock division, you can win in anything that you drive.
Yeah, I raced against Cade, and he's a hard little racer, right on your door. I went through corners with him at Florence, and he is on the outside of your right side door, just you know, pinching you down and trying to make it as difficult as possible to get around. Hard racer. Took this team right here and him a little while in this season to really gel, but they've been consistent, as we've mentioned, and I think the win's around the corner.
And the only thing I can really think about with Cade, I think of him drag racing his mom's Cadillac at Dominion Raceway. That's really the highlight of my Cade Brown experience. He's a great kid, very laid back, relaxed, very respectful. So it's fun to see these kids grow up right in front of our eyes.
Hopefully she's not just finding out about that
well, no,
right
she was
now.
there, so it was fine.
For more stories trackside, we'll go to James Pike.
One of the newer faces that's quickly become a veteran in Cars Tour competition is Raleigh area's Buddy Isles Jr. Buddy, you're not 100% today, but why is it so important to still be here at Wilkesboro anyway?
One, because it's Wilkesboro, but two, we're going to be on Flow and FS1 tomorrow. I got fun fact about me, we got 2 kidney stones. I got a 4 millimeter on my left and a 5 millimeter on my right side, so I got to have surgery next week. My wife's probably about to kill me. Probably she's watching the flick right now. Anyway, I hated them, and yeah, we're in good spirits. So not hurting too bad today. Just hope we get by the next 2 days and win a race tomorrow, ride the elevator.
Fighting through the pain, all for the opportunity to potentially end up in victory lane. That is how significant North Wilkesboro is to the drivers of the ZMAX Cars Tour.
We posed the question, what does it mean? There's an example right there. Probably against doctor's orders. Buddy Isles is going to try to lay down a flyer here, qualify for a little bit, maybe even a little bit of discomfort, I would imagine.
Well, you'd take a day off work, but you won't take a day off to come to North Wilkesboro and drive the car. So definitely 2 different things there. Go to work? Nope. Go to race? Sure.
That's right. Buddy's got some momentum coming out of Ace with a reasonable finish and 10th in points. So definitely it'd be tough on this team to take a week off. And if they want to continue in the season, they're going to rely on that points position to continue to get better.
Buddy's someone who put a lot into this race, slapped a new wrap on the race car leading up to this event. And also, he really made sure to promote the event as much as he could and welcome along his partners and just try to shine a greater spotlight on the race as a whole and the tour as a whole. And he's done a great job of doing it. He, too, transitioned from dirt racing just a couple of years ago to try his hand at pavement stock car action. And as you said, Dale, he's picking up on a pretty good top 10 in points coming into this race and just a great story, and hopefully he has a solid next couple of days here.
Yeah, there's drivers like Buddy that join the series and become regulars, and we're most thankful for them. Buddy may get an opportunity up the road at the truck level someday, but a lot of drivers that race with us, some of these guys are trying to find their way into the next level. Some of them are career short track racers. That is what they do for a living, and that's a family-owned team. And so, they find a home in the Cars Tour. They love the competition. They love the schedule. They're going to have a lot of time off in the summer to go to the beach or wherever they want to go with their families and have a good time this summer and get back to racing in August. And so we're thankful that he and all the other teams that join us are part of the series.
Yeah, and you talk about Buddy and their style of team, and then you have other teams that do this for a living and put these cars out there for customers. Some of them have their own family teams that they have full-time employees that work on the cars. So you have a wide variety of how these cars get to the racetrack. You have a lot of, heck, Rodney Childers is down there working on my late model stock today, and you have a lot of the Cup crew members that'll go and work on things at night. I'm sure you see that in your late model shop as well. People want to be here. They love late model racing. This is where most all of us come from and have raced before, but there's just something fun that when you come back to be able to race, or whether you race here every week, to have a good time. And there's that element of, if I'm going to spend the money, I might as well have fun doing it. So it's definitely, late model racing is something that people have a passion for, but it's also really enjoyable.
And the beauty of all of that, our chief scorer, Lee Watson, is quick to point out, especially in the late model stock cars, even though there may be a wide range in terms of how these teams are built, it's a very tight margin between how they run on the stopwatch, and we're about to get a prime example of that right now. Kicking us off for Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award qualifying, the Junior Motorsports Carolina Carports number 8 of Caden Quapple.
Carson's brother is joined the Junior Motorsports team this year. He's a little bit high off of turn 2 there. Probably not going to love the momentum that killed on this particular race. Put it together. Going out first is tough. The track's not really in great shape. Hard to get a hold of this place. It's going to improve for the drivers behind him. He's going to try to get everything he can. The 1791, going to have to improve just a little bit on that.
Yeah, and you see how loose that car is. And we saw Luke Baldwin get up and into the wall right there in turn 2. And you see a little bit of dust fly right there, but this car is very loose, Dale.
Yeah, the first few cars go on the track really strong. On the surface of the racetrack, it'll improve as we kind of get a few more cars on it. So going out early, preferred. Kind of want to be somewhere at least 6th, 7th, or further on back to the field. And the longer we waited between the pro and the late model stock qualifying, the tougher the track surface got as it cooled off. Lost a little bit of grip.
Yeah, as we watch Carson Lofton here make his first run, 1789 on his first lap. But even though the tires are the same, they're both made by Hoosiers, the compounds are still a little bit different. So as you talk about cleaning that racetrack up, it is a little bit different tire compound too. So these first couple 5, 6 cars maybe definitely at a disadvantage probably.
When you take this late model stock car out on the racetrack, you want to abuse the right front tire. You also want to bring it build as much temperature as you can. That's what's going to make that car hook up and start to handle well. You see everybody that we've seen on the racetrack so far is sideways in the middle of 1 and 2. Just don't have the tires coming in yet. The car's not comfortable.
And that to me was always the hard part of, as we see the 17 car of Daniel Silvestri make his qualifying run here. 3rd quick on his first lap, but if you don't drive it sideways and you don't drive it hard, you're in the back of the pack. And I learned that really quickly in my first late model stock race right here at North Wilkesboro.
Silvestri driving the Tom Usry entry out of Blacksburg, Virginia. He's a Cars Tour winner. Did so back at Dominion in 2021. This is his first start with the Tour since 2022. As we welcome the hottest rookie on the Tour right now, the number 4 Donovan Strauss. This kid is on a flyer for the Headinger Racing team to start 2025. Now he's going to try his hand at the very fast North Wilkesboro Speedway.
He's got 4 top 10s this year. They have made a big commitment to be a part of the Tour this year. He does a great job on social media promoting his team, talking about what their challenges are and how badly they want to get to the next race and perform well.
Yeah, you see him 3rd quick there to a 1798 on his first lap.
Strauss in what is the 2nd race partnership with Savaro, with May being Stroke Awareness Month. That's been a very big deal for that team and that organization. They're hoping to give him a good showing here. Was about to say tonight in qualifying, tomorrow for the race. Strauss will remain third on the racetrack so far.
Ronnie Bassett on the racetrack here in this 04. Ronnie, a regular on the series. Ronnie and his family, they've been to the Xfinity Series. They've seen what it's like to get in that top 3 race car level. They've come back, found themselves a home where they love to compete in the Cars Tour. Good, hard-working team. Always have a little bit of speed, have challenge for wins.
Bassett making his 4th career Cars Tour late model start in North Wilkesboro. His best finish was last August, where he came home with a top 10 effort in 8th as Bassett hustles that car back to the start-finish line, and he will remain 4th of the cars that have been on the racetrack so far. Andrew Grady's been fast all day long. Blake McCandless is with him.
That he has. Andrew Grady's been fast all day long. I know you and I were just talking a moment ago. You're watching some of these early qualifiers go out in 1 and 2, and you said some of these guys ain't been this high before. How difficult is it to try and find that edge where you're looking for speed, but you don't want to step over it like we saw earlier?
Well, there's a fine line between Jesus and the fence, man. It's about 3 inches. We never went that high today in the mock run. I didn't want to chance it and getting into it, but everybody's going to have to do it right now to lay down a quick lap. Torp Chassis, Rankin Race Engines brought me another good package. We've been good all day long, and hopefully we fight the gremlins off, and we're there tonight and be there tomorrow night.
All right, guys, we're going to see Andrew Grady sitting it in qualifying.
Perfect synopsis for this session after we've seen all these cars be on edge. Michael Bumgarner has rode the elevator once before in a limited late model. He clocks in 4th quickest.
Yeah, Minnie Tyrell next on the racetrack. We've seen Minnie be really competitive the first few weeks of the season, kind of stumbled the last couple of weeks with some bad luck and some things happening. So Minnie is definitely a contender. Car's always fast on these bigger racetracks.
He loves this type of surface. The newer surface, the high grip surfaces, this is where this team shines. There's some races that they've just been lights out, unbeatable. That team's really stepped it up over the last couple of years.
Spoke with Minnie earlier today. This is the same car that was involved in the crash at Orange County Speedway, but it ran so well here, they wanted to make sure that they had it ready for North Wilkesboro. And he's going to come up just shy of the front row for now. Tyrell slots in 3rd. Let's toss it down to James Pike.
Lenny Banks here for Lee Pulliam Performance. Top 5 car in practice. All kinds of speed for her first go in a late model at Wilkesboro. What's clicked so far that's made you so fast around this place?
Definitely being with this Lee Pulliam Performance team. They always bring a really fast race car to the track. So I'm super excited to qualify here and see what we can do. We were really fast in practice, and super thankful for Folsom Fin Supply and their support and giving me the opportunity to run with these Lee Pulliam Performance guys.
Seen a lot of speed in practice and a lot of speed in Q all throughout the season from Lenny Banks, looking for the finish to back up what she's shown leading up to the green flag.
Dustin Storm trying to make his 2nd career Cars Tour late model stock start. He's going to qualify 8th of the 8 cars that have been on the racetrack so far. 37 cars slated to come out to take time. Top 30 are going to lock in on speed, and we will have to unfortunately send 1 car home after we lay out 6 provisionals. This is one driver, Alex Meggs, who got up into the wall right about here in practice earlier this afternoon. They got the car repaired, and he's out of the racetrack now.
But that issue in practice, he had very, very limited time on the racetrack, and you can tell he's just a little bit, look how low he is off of turn 2, not using a lot of racetrack, obviously not carrying enough speed, not driving the car to its fullest because of the limited time he's had.
Yeah, and Alex races a lot at Florence Motor Speedway, so this is definitely a much different style of driving than what he's used to there.
Yeah, I just wish that, they wouldn't have had the problem in practice, maybe got a little more lap time, give him a better shot here to try to put a lap down in qualifying, but not going to be able to get the speed today.
Next on the racetrack, the Pinnacle Racing Group, number 28S for Connolly Springs native Landon S. Huffman, who had to miss his high school prom to race at Ace last time out. He's going to miss graduation to run at Langley. They're hosting some events at his high school tomorrow. He plans to attend those, then hightail back to the racetrack to compete in the Window World 100 as the week starts to roll on, with Huffman now clocking into 5th position.
Well, we've heard a lot of things of things that are missed and high school graduations and all kinds of different excuses to be in this race car today. So I love to hear that, because that's all the things that I would do as well.
Connor Hall on the racetrack. This is our points leader, driver for Junior Motorsports. 2 wins this year, 3 top 5s. Had pretty good speed today. Interesting to see if he has enough speed to take the pole. Whips that car around turn 3 and 4, looking pretty good.
Yeah, and every one of these cars that go around the racetrack, especially the fast one, they're all sideways, and it makes I'm standing up here, I'm like, oh man, that is definitely as sideways as I want to be, but that's how these guys will drive the whole race tonight.
He'll need a 10th to be able to get near that pole. Carson Lawson with a great lap so far. Not going to be able to do it. He'll be disappointed with that. Going to slide in at 5th with an 18 flat.
A lot of work for tomorrow. Next driver on the racetrack out of South Carolina, Riley Gentry, making his return to the Cars Tour. He's been racing a lot at Anderson Speedway, where we will be with the Tour in mid-August. He said this is the biggest track that this family-owned team races at, but he loves ripping around this Speedway, and he had a very good qualifying effort here 1 year ago, trying to back it up as he's 9th the first time through.
Yeah, we heard Andrew Grady talk about how he wanted to drive the car, and that is very true. As you drive into turn 1, these cars are going to want it. You're going to have to drive it in further than you have all day, let off the brakes sooner, and bank on the banking catching you as you go up that hill.
Gentry's going to remain in that position. Last time we were at North Wilkesboro Speedway with the Cars Tour and late model stock cars, this driver started hang out back, raced his way up into a top 10 spot, and then got turned into the outside wall. Gave everyone a little bit of a scare. Said a couple days later that he was recovering from a concussion he sustained in that crash, his second over the course of a 2-year span, but he was still very excited to get back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Ryan Wilson completes his first go-around.
He's going to actually come off of turn 2, slowing down. I think there's an issue with this race car, quite a bit off the pace. Ryan was much faster than that in practice. He's going to come down to pit road. Team may address what's going on with that engine.
Yeah, and I saw him. He was way lower on the racetrack than all the other cars through turns 1 and 2. He felt something in that car that just wasn't quite right.
Got a pair of number 71s in the field tonight. This going to be entered as the number 71 car for Hettinger Racing in the Vet Adventures entry. This is Parker Eatman. Slid over to the Hettinger team last time out at Ace and picked up his first career top 10 finish.
This is a good little race team, and they're expanding. They're trying to get to where they're running more regularly. Multiple cars in the Cars Tour each single weekend.
Yeah, we've seen them with trucks and ARCA cars. You see them way up the racetrack right there on the entry into 3.
Even's going to remain 12th of the 14 cars that have been on the racetrack so far. As a driver with 1 Cars Tour win to his credit, it was the old North State Nationals in 2023. So they've got a lot of people from Josh Sellers coming out to the racetrack over the next 2 days. Propel Speed Shop, Landon Huffman hanging it out.
Big slide right there.
That's obviously going to hurt on the stopwatch. Huffman there with a big moment, and just like we saw in pro practice, that was coming to complete that first lap. It may hurt him here as well.
Yeah, never helps the momentum right through the middle of 3 and 4 as you come to take the white flag.
Huffman crosses the line 11th. This will drop it back down trackside for another pit report.
Yeah, stay by here with Tate Fogelman. And Tate, you and I were chatting a little bit earlier today. You talked about how you love these racetracks that are high grip and very fast. How does this suit your skill set?
Yeah, I've loved this place since I came here the first time. I grew up racing super late models, a lot of horsepower, and always loved going to those high grip tracks, just tracks with a lot of speed. So this has fit my driving style well. Still figuring out the late model stock car. My family-owned team, we've been working on this new Reynolds racing chassis, and we've gotten it pretty good. We first race with it was at Orange County, so ran decent there before we got caught up in a wreck. So just looking forward to carry that momentum here.
Tate Fogelman looking to rip the top once again here.
The pace has followed Andrew Grady to Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award qualifying. He locks in 4th. The driver trying to go back-to-back in Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Poles, Mason Diaz in the Hedgecock Racing house car.
Yeah, they had a great car at Ace Speedway, ran good all day. That got to be a rough race there at the end.
Mason making his 3rd start in 2025. Said he's spending a lot of time with the family business at the sign shop, also at Southern National Motorsports Park. But he loves working with this Hedgecock group as he comes down to see the checkers. His first lap is good enough for 9th. He'll stay in 9th position for now, but that lap will be a tick quicker.
He's a driver to watch tomorrow. He ran the 2nd in this race back when we revived this racetrack. And I think he's got a ton of talent. Just not a lot of opportunity behind the wheel, but I think if he had a regular, decent ride in this field, he'd be a challenger.
Former track champion at Colorado National Speedway, Cody Dempster on the Speedway. Let's hear from a former champion. James Pike is with Carson Quapple.
And a former two-time champion of the ZMAX Cars Tours, that Carson Quapple back in competition racing for Go Fast this weekend. But Carson, we talked earlier, you told me that you've already won on the old pavement of the Revival a few years ago. You want to win on the new, or you want to win on the new pavement this time. Why does winning on the new pavement mean so much to you? Why is it so important?
To me, it's just a completely different surface and completely different characteristics of the racetrack, right? Old pavement, it was a liftway early and safe tires, and this new pavement stuff is pretty hammered down, and it's a lot of fun. So really just super excited to be back out in the late model tracks with Go Fast Racing and CorvetteParts.net. Just having some fun out here, kind of just enjoying my off weekends and coming back to support local short track racing.
Carson Quapple looking to be a master of all trades this weekend at North Wilkesboro.
Going to try to see if he can join his brother up on that front row. How about Buddy Isles Jr.? That first lap, 6th, despite what he's dealing with to wheel this race car right now.
Yeah, and I loved during that interview, you could really hear Buddy going to the gas, and you just hear the commitment that they have to make in the middle of 1 and 2 to make that car make speed.
Well, he doesn't pick up on lap 2, but he's going to be thrilled with that lap nonetheless, be able to be in 6th place ahead of a lot of heavy hitters in this field. Great job by that team.
And one of them could be right here. Lainey Bice, after a career effort at Ace Speedway the last time out, then went out and ran the ARCA race at Kansas, had a top 10 effort there. And she is hustling the Lee Pulliam Performance entry through 3 and 4 to complete this first lap of the team that won a championship and has won here before, and she goes right to the top on lap 1.
Yeah, and she has done such a great job in this car, but Lee Pulliam has done a great job with these race cars. We saw Butterbean be so fast in this car, win a championship, and now Lainey is doing her part, putting that pedal down to make this car put this car on top of the board.
She's not scared to mash the gas. Slows down a little bit on that second lap, but that first lap of 1781, almost a clear 10th faster than 7th place Carson Lofton. And Lainey, I've seen that out of her everywhere she's went. I've raced against her myself over the last couple of years, but all year with Lee Pulliam, she's been one of the faster cars in practice and qualifying. Just yet to really figure out how to get to the finish of these races. But tonight, this weekend could be the night.
Brendan Queen won 2 poles with that organization here at this racetrack. Lainey Bice trying to make it a 3rd. The driver making his 99th Cars Tour late model stock start. Veteran racer in the Crossroads Harley-Davidson, and Josh's Sellers number 2, Brandon Pierce.
He's a former winner on the Cars Tour late model stock tour, trying to find his way back toward the front. Struggled over the last couple of years, made some changes in the offseason. Performance seems to be getting better for that team.
Such a big supporter of our series with the Crossroads Harley-Davidson sponsorship there on the side of his car as well.
Well, the team car is currently up on the front row in Carson Lofton. This is the 2nd entry for Nelson Motorsports. Cars Tour winner at Ace Speedway in 2022, Jonathan Schaefer comes across 6th on his first go-around in what is his first start of the season and first on the late model stock side since 2023.
See him hook that left front right on that white line. Right below that white line is a concrete patch, and if you get that tire just barely on that concrete, it'll rip that thing right around the corner. You have to counter steer to make it not get too sideways, but you saw the effect that it had on that car.
Well, speaking of teammate performance, Lainey Bice in the Lee Pulliam Performance 03 on pole. Doug Barnes in the Lee Pulliam Performance 88 going to try to contest that time as he comes across to complete his first lap.
Doug's had a tough year, sitting 7th in points, 1 top 5 finish. Great speed in this car. They've had to battle back from a lot of problems and adversity in the races that we've ran to be able to get those good top 5 finish, top 10 finishes. Up the racetrack a little bit right there, coming to the checkered.
Doug's got a lot of experience in this series. Definitely made a lot of laps around a lot of these racetracks, so he's definitely not going to be thrilled with that lap.
He's just going to miss out on a top 10 effort for now as the next car comes onto the racetrack. We mentioned he's got a pro late model win here last season, looking for his first win in a late model stock car with the Tour. This is Tristan McKee in the Matt Piercy Racing Cambridge number 7.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about Tristan is he'll jump out of this late model stock back into that pro, and they'll do that the whole time during practice, and he's able to manage both cars.
Jumps up to 4th on his first lap. Not many people have improved on lap 2. Let's see what Tristan can do. Turn 3, right to the bottom of the racetrack, hammers the throttle. wide off of 4, but carrying a lot of speed. Not able to improve, runs a 17.91 lap 1, 17.95 lap 2, and 4th.
Yeah, it seems to be fairly consistent with if you hit everything right on that first lap, it doesn't seem like you're going to make any more speed on that second lap.
Trouble here getting the number 14 Jimmy Morin racing car off and running. This is the return for Sam Butler out of Delphi, Indiana. He's a winner of the Bobby Isaac Memorial at Hickory Motor Speedway back in 2020, trying to make his 12th career start and first at North Wilkesboro with the Tour. And that team is hustling, trying to get that car to fire as they've just about run out of runway on the pit lane. Butler slated to be the 25th car to take time. 24 cars have been on the racetrack so far. And again, top 30 are going to be locked in on speed. And we could expect to see 6 provisionals with 1 car on the line slated to go home. And there was some questions around the number 12 machine. More on that in a moment. We'll throw it back down to Pike.
I am alongside the person who knows this property maybe better than anyone else here. Dylan Wilson, North Wilkesboro native, who has so much history around this place. I know you love this weekend as much as anybody. Is there anything that stands out about this All-Star weekend compared to the other ones that you've been involved with?
Man, I'm just a race fan. I came here to drink beer with y'all and race. Hopefully we make the field here and go out there and have some fun tomorrow night. The goal is to get this MKM program built up and have a good time. And we've done that so far. And man, with it being on FS1 this year, this the excitement, the anticipation, you can see it. It's kind of like a Daytona 500 for us late model guys. So we're all extremely amped up for it, and I know myself included. So if you guys hear any loud noises down that way tonight, it's probably me.
New team this time around, and you mentioned the partnership with Michael Klein. What's it been like working with this organization and helping try to build them up?
So fun, man. Top-notch organization. They've got me a great race car here. I've got a great opportunity with them. They've got a very bright future ahead of them. I cannot wait to see what they do with it. But you know, right now, the focus is on this race and getting a good lap out here in a few minutes.
Dylan Wilson living this weekend as a North Wilkesboro man, getting ready to take the wheel at his home track.
The hometown favorite for all watching along and the return to this racetrack.
Yeah, if you stand up on the outside of the racetrack here in turn 3 and 4, you can see the area where he grew up. His family lives right off the backside of turns 3 and 4, and they'll be having a lot of fun this weekend throughout the All-Star race.
There won't be anybody that has more fun, I would probably guess.
Well, the assistance of the push truck got Sam Butler's car off and running, and he times in 13th quickest in his first attempt at a race in 2025 with a team that has gone to victory lane. Here's the second number 71 car that we will see tonight. This one will be scored. It's the 71B out of Huntington Beach, California. Jake Bowman, who had a front row appearance at New River All-American Speedway.
Yeah, and here's another car that ran a little bit lower through turns 1 and 2, had those left side tires on that bottom half.
First lap around for Bowman will be 7th.
He's got a good tidy line, as you mentioned, around turns 1 and 2, and able to make speed doing it.
Yeah, if you're able to keep the car that low on the racetrack, it's usually turning pretty good.
Wow, what a pickup on lap 2 to the front row for Jake Bowman. One of the few cars we've seen do that.
Yeah, that's an impressive job to be able to run that kind of lap time.
Next up, the driver out of Kingswood, Virginia, driving for his family-owned race team, partnered up with Sellers Racing and the Medic Corporation 00. 2022 Cars Tour Late Model Stock Rookie of the Year, Chase Burrow.
Saw Chase racing at Langley a couple of weeks ago with this 00.
Yeah, usually when they big time loose right there into turn 3.
A little bit of an issue there. That's going to kill this lap. So he's going to end up 11th overall with that.
2024 late model stock champion at Orange County Speedway, making his 19th career Cars Tour late model stock start, and second of 2025, Camden Gully for his family-owned team.
His family's been in late model stock racing for decades, so awesome to see that tradition carrying on. We thank Camden for coming and competing with us from time to time. A lot of these teams will run for their local track championship. They'll have a couple of off weeks and come see us, Kevin. We'd love to see those drivers come compete with us.
Yeah, and that's really what you want. You want those local track champions, and you want the guys that are running good at those local tracks, even if they're not the champ. You want them to be out and about randomly at our series, if not full time. So it's fun to be able to get that mixture into these fields to see where you stack up against all the best guys on the East Coast here in these late model stock cars.
Cade Brown on the racetrack now at number 4. Third in points, only 5 points out of the point lead. 2 top 5s this year and gaining momentum. Going to be disappointed with that first lap. Sits in 16th at 18:07. Going to have to pick it up a little bit to have a chance, because Connor Hall struggled in qualifying. Landon Lewis has yet to go. Could be an opportunity this weekend.
And we see the swings just like it did for Cade. With the way that these races go, you can get caught up in something really quick, and next thing you know, you can have 2 weeks in a row and that take you completely out of what you think is a comfortable points lead.
Connor Jones on the racetrack now in the 44. Regular in the Cars Tour and Late Model Stocks and the Pros as well. He's going to run both those races with us tonight and tomorrow night. Again, another tough lap, 15th for Connor Jones. I'm curious if the racetrack's changed a little bit, or it's just these guys aren't able to get the temperature in the tire. We're now entirely shaded. The sun is completely gone from the racetrack. The last handful of cars, I think they're heavy hitters, top 10, top 5 cars.
Yeah, and what was unique is we saw Jake Bowman be the only one that's really had a top-notch lap, and his line was actually lower on the racetrack. So I'm like you, Dale. I wonder if this temperature and the sun going down and all the lights are starting to come on the racetrack, it definitely seems to have changed the pace of the track, or maybe even where you need to run.
This driver may be a good litmus test for that theory, as he's already won a pole tonight, and he's hanging it out there in 3 and 4. Caden Honeycutt in the late model stock car number 5.
Boom! Second on the board. What a lap. 17:86. See if Caden can get a little bit more speed. 5 thousandths, and he'll be there way up the track at 4. He's going to have to jump out of the gas there just to save the race car and give up on the lap. But still, second place, great effort.
And that pretty much blew our theory out of the water.
Yeah. He sure did.
2-time Cars Tour late model stock champion, now full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We heard from him just a few moments ago. Carson Kvapil makes his Cars Tour return at a racetrack he knows very well.
And this car right here is a car that he and his father keep at their house. This is their own car that they run from time to time. Caden will drive this car a few times. Carson's drove it a few times. Won at Tri-County in this car this past weekend. There's a little bit of a refresher for this weekend. A little sideways right there for Carson as he comes down to take the checker flag. Gonna get a good lap there at 5th place with a 17:89. Pretty impressive.
This is a team that was thrashing due to a transmission problem in the latter stages of practice, but a name in which many of you at home may know quite well. Corey LaJoy driving for the Kevin Powell Speed Motorsports number 2 team that Hudson Bolger has raced a couple times this season. Corey trying his hand in a late model stock car for the first time since the early 2010s. And not a bad lap, matches the car number 12.
No, I was doing the track walk earlier, and Corey was out on the racetrack. I said, "You ever driven a late model stock here?" He's like, "No, I don't even know the last time I drove one." So he knew that he was in for a big task tonight, but puts up a great first lap.
Very impressive. I talked to him about his car and the transmission issues. He worried about the balance of the car, saying he couldn't get the car to turn. So to be able to go out there and make that kind of lap, he's going to slot himself into the race comfortably. Ryan Millington on the racetrack now in the number 15, a strong competitor in this series. 2 top 5s this year, 9 points.
And every time you go down to talk to Ryan or see how he's doing, it's just him and one other guy.
Yeah.
They're the ones working on their cars, and that's the great part about our series as he runs a 18:03 that we talked about earlier. You're able to, if you can do the work in the shop, you're able to get to the racetrack, save yourself a whole bunch of money, and be able to come out here and compete.
Joey Tim with one of those family-owned operations will come back across the line as we have 34 cars that have taken time so far, so the bumping has begun. Alex Meggs on the bubble, Parker Even, Dustin Storm, Cody and Wilson, all looking to see if they'll need to fall back on a provisional as we welcome Tate Fogelman.
This is another young man. His father raced in late model stock, Jay Fogelman, for years. I raced against Jay. He was very well respected in the late model stock race back in the 1990s and so forth. Love to see that team continue, and that's a great lap for Tate, 11th overall with a 17:95.
had a great run going at Orange County before being swept up in a late race crash. Happy to see the team back here for Wilkesboro. We'll see if he can improve it this time. He'll get up into the top 10. That second lap was a tick faster, so Fogelman hoping to hang on that spot. A couple of cars, matter of fact, left to go.
Big name right here, Landon Lewis. Second points, only 4 points out. Connor Hall struggled in qualifying, as did Cade Brown, several other cars. An opportunity. Landon has a lot of momentum in this car right here. He can get a great qualifying, a great night tomorrow. Be a good night for the championship battle.
That's a good start to the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole for Landon Lewis that time around. And North Wilkesboro was not part of his part-time slate in 2024. Lewis with a 17.769 on the first lap. Trying to better it here. He slows down just a tick. But Lewis guaranteed to get some points with a front row start. 2 points to the pole winner, 1 point to the outside front row starter. With the hometown hero, the last car to take the track for qualifying.
That's a tough one for Laney Bice, who's sitting right there with the opportunity to win the pole tonight. But a great lap from Landon. Dylan Wilson on the racetrack. This is the guy that grew up right across the hill there. Loves this track more than anything. Thrilled when this track was able to come back to life.
Yeah, it was great to see the emotion that he had about this racetrack and to hear him talk about it and be able to race on this racetrack. He's definitely, as he runs at 18:24 right there, it puts him 34th. So
Wilson's going to have to see how the provisionals may fall, as 37 cars took time for the 36-car field. But Landon Lewis, our most recent winner at Ace Speedway, lays down a flyer. Again, 17.769 for Landon Lewis. The Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole, looking for his second win in a row and third of his career tomorrow night. And he will have the best seat in the house when the green flag flies, with Laney Bice joining him on the front row.
Yeah, pretty interesting qualifying order there, with Landon taking the pole and Connor Hall all the way back there in 17th place. Cade Brown struggled as well in qualifying. So Landon Lewis looking to come in here and win at a historic racetrack, ride that elevator, but also, bust this points battle wide open. It has been tied up at the top there in the top three. Somebody's looking to step out there and put the pressure on the others.
yeah, and when I look at Landon and all the work that he does, he's a great kid. He works on the car every day in the shop. They build these cars from the ground up and have been just working hard to get themselves in a position to be more competitive. Started off the year, wasn't very competitive, weren't where they wanted to be, and were able to work themselves back over the last few weeks to put themselves in a position to be right here on the pole at North Wilkesboro. So that's a pretty cool feat.
I'll have to crunch the numbers when we're done, but that lap by Landon Lewis, 17.769, eclipses the track record that Carson Quapple had of a 17.803 in October of last season. And Carson's lap there, if you would convert it to miles per hour, was the second fastest qualifying lap ever for the Tour. Lee Pulliam had that honor the one time they held qualifying for the Tour back in Bristol. So I'll run over to Lee Watson, see if he can do the mile per hour conversion for me. That may have been the fastest lap we've ever seen with the Tour.
Well, these cars, they just get more and more competitive as we go through, and these guys just keep fine-tuning them. And when we come to North Wilkesboro here, this is still a relatively new facility with the asphalt, right? And with these guys, like you talked earlier, they don't race on this style of asphalt very much. Dominion has a similar type asphalt. Tri-County has one corner that's got similar type asphalt. So this is a very unique racetrack for these guys. So as they come back, they learn more and more and more, and especially when it comes to qualifying time as to what they need in their car to go fast.
Yeah, this facility's been incredible for the Cars Tour, for late model racing. They raced late model cars here back in the 80s and the 90s as a companion event to the Cup Series races, and it's awesome to see it back again for part of the Cup Series weekend.
Well, from Cookout Victory Lane to the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole, the success continues to roll on for Landon Lewis. James Pike is with him.
Winner at Ace Speedway last time out, Thunder Road Harley-Davidson pole sitter at North Wilkesboro for the big race tomorrow. Landon, what is it like? Can you describe the feeling when you have this kind of momentum behind you?
They say momentum is a real thing, and that's pretty true right now. Just riding on a high right now, really really thankful for all my guys. We've busted our butts the last couple weeks getting this car ready to go. It's a brand new race car, and we have built it from the ground up, and we've done everything we could to make it right for this weekend. And it showed so far. Rodney, Miles, they're all just working really hard in the shop to, keep digging away at this points championship and just try to make everyone proud.
And I know you guys at the booth talked about it. It's 2 points now for a pole in the Z-Max Car Store presented by Sound Gear. We've seen championship battles come down to the absolute wire, to a fender's length at the end of the season. Who knows how valuable those points could be, but for now, all focus on the fact that Landon Lewis is your Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award winner and will start up front when the late models take the green tomorrow night at North Wilkesboro.
Thanks, Pike. Its starting position for late model stocks matters just as much as the pros. The farthest back a winner at North Wilkesboro's ever come was 5th. Connor Jones did that last October. So starting up front carries a lot of momentum. So it's how your race may unfold if we look at this race's history.
Yeah, as I mentioned, our top 5 in points, only Landon Lewis is in the top 16. And so that's a pretty big deal, I think. It's a 100-lap race, but it's very fast, and it could be really, really short. It could be difficult and not enough real race time and an opportunity for some of these guys to work their way through the field. Landon's got the best seat in the house and a real opportunity this weekend to have a great night.
Yeah, and I think it allows you, when you start up front, it just allows you to kind of get out of the chaos.
Yeah.
And when you have those guys that are back in the field that are having to mix it up, sometimes it'll take you half the race to get somewhere towards the top 5. And in this race, that's only 50 laps. So it is definitely 25 laps shorter, definitely makes a difference in how that will work out when you start deep in the field.
I want to mention a name too, Kevin. I don't want to speak for you, but I wanted to mention a name too. I think we ought to credit for Landon in his success and where he is in his career is Ron Hornaday. I remember Ron coming up to me years ago telling me about him. Hey, you got to watch this kid. You got to watch this kid. And I know he's tried really hard, been a part of trying to create opportunities for him.
Yeah, well, Ron's done a great job. He's actually lived with Ron and Candace and their family since he was 12 years old and went through the Joe Ryan legend car system and worked in the shop every day. And he's done the exact same thing at our shop. He works in the shop every day on the cars, and like he said, they have built these cars from the ground up. So what he may lack in talent, he has a ton of talent. He will outwork him. I promise you that. That kid works harder than anybody that I've ever met from the driver's standpoint.
If this race comes down to a late restart, we know Ron was one of the best at those as well. So the kid is fully equipped for the opportunity to go back-to-back. They've got about 24 hours to sit on and think about how they will approach the Window World 100 with their start time slated for tomorrow, 8 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 and on FloRacing with the Pro Late models. Reverend Sour Mash Whiskey 75 coming up a little less than a half hour from now. The fields are set for both races. We'll be back on the other side, inching closer to the start of the Pro Late model portion of our program. Don't go anywhere.